course, coming out about Eskom's finances at the Zondo Commission. The former Trillian management CEO and the whistleblower Bianca Goodson telling the State Capture Commission how Gupta associate Salim Essa plans to turn Eskom around. Trillian formed part of the infamous Eskom McKinsey contract worth 1.6 billion rand as the local supplier. McKinsey has now paid 1 billion rand of that money back to the power utility and says that the contract process was flawed.
So he was selling the company to me as opposed to me trying to sell my skills and competence to him. And I found it a bit bizarre. So Mr. Essa went on to say that his vision for Trillian Management Consulting was that it would compete in the same space as the likes of McKinsey. And at that time, a leading management consultant, South African management consulting company was Letsema. And he says, you know, why is it only Letsema and McKinsey in the public sector space? There needs to become a new business, a new proudly South African black management consulting company that also competes in that space. And that was his vision for this entity. At the time, load shedding was rife. He mentioned to me that the intention was to go into Eskom to help reduce load shedding and help Eskom become a first world utility. And it sounded exciting. So Mr. Essa was really selling this opportunity to me, and towards the end of the interview, he asked me to tell me about yourself. And I'm not too sure what came over me at the time, but I actually decided to tell him a lot about my upbringing. You know, I come from Pietermaritzburg, small community, very, very strong family values. My parents are very religious. And I went into that type of detail. The next day, I got an email from Clive saying, Salim likes you. If you want the job, it's yours.
Well, our reporter Tumaole Mohlaoli joins us now in the studio with more on this. Tumaole, good afternoon to you. I mean, all of this gets to the heart of the sort of Gupta's financial operations in Eskom.
Yes, absolutely. And also to the mysterious enforcer. I say mysterious because Salim Essa is not someone you see around or you see pictures. We only have a few snaps here and there, repeated everywhere. But she got to meet him and she got to engage with him directly. And you get a sense that Salim Essa and the Guptas were a team with a plan when you look at how the operations of this company were run. Because essentially it was set up to get services, but it didn't deliver those services, but it got advance payments. And this is something that we've seen as a formula that the Guptas have been using at other parastatals, and even so far as to go into municipalities, the advance payment system, which has spelled disaster for all of those who have agreed to go into that business with Gupta-linked entities.
I don't know why, but there's the smell of asbestos roof in the air suddenly. So, I mean, when you have a prepayment, and these are quite big prepayments.
Quite big prepayments, and in fact they go against what the legislation and operating practices of many of the state-owned entities prescribe. You will find that there was a particular formula when you had these prepayments made. There would be an initial deposit, and very soon after there would be a big payment followed by several other payments. So this then begs the question, why were these payments done so quickly, so close to one another? And yet when you look at the books, there was not a single shred of work done.
And I mean, an organization as moral as McKinsey pays the money back, you know that's something went seriously wrong here, and you can start to see who actually benefited. I mean, it was the person, one of the people whose passport they won't renew.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at how things unfolded, according to her testimony, she says that Goodson, after a few weeks, she started to notice that things weren't quite as they seemed. And that's when she decided eventually to jump ship. The reason she decided to jump ship, she says, is because when she noticed, especially with the dealings with the Gupta government department, Des van Rooyen was the man there heading the department. She says that there was an intermediary, another middleman, who was then roped in and who seemed to be directing Des van Rooyen. And they would come up with requests, for instance, about promotional material. And she would have to then draft this promotional material overnight, and payments would be made, and there was no vetting about what had happened. and if that service or those promotional materials ever reached their intended recipients. So this is another, opening up of what was happening behind the closed doors with Gupta-linked operations and their political partners.
And I mean, to blow the whistle, it's actually a very difficult thing to do. And I think Bianca Goodson is an example of how difficult it can be. There's usually blowback, and it takes a long time before you're actually able to tell your story, as she's now able to do.
Absolutely, Stephen. And in the meantime, there's the loss of income because whistleblowers, unfortunately, get shown the door. We've seen that with other whistleblowers as well. In the case of Suzanne Daniels, when it comes to Eskom as well, she also was very forthcoming with the Commission of Inquiry, saying that she also faced some financial difficulties because when she decided to blow the whistle to Parliament, she also was shown the door. And it comes with a great price, a great personal price. But we must commend them for, fighting the good fight, so to speak.
Tumaole Mohlaoli, thanks very much indeed. Really do appreciate it. Unpacking, I don't know how he does it, unpacking the Zondo Commission. So many names and numbers that you've got to put together. Well,